As we approach the end of 2025, we are also approaching the end of a 9-year cycle. Do you feel like you have been in a 9-year cycle? Can you feel that energy that is ready to come to an end and that is ready to be transformed into a fresh start for 2026? Maybe something has already shifted for you in 2025 and you feel like you're a whole new person heading into 2026, or you're ready for that shift. You're ready for that something that needs to change in order to have that fresh start and get the momentum and really move forward and create what you're wanting to create in 2026. So let's get into it. What is going on with the energy of 2025? Well, in numerology, 2025 is a 9-year. And so this is a cycle from 1 to 9. 9 is the end of the cycle. And so in a 9-year, this is a year of conclusions, of tying up loose ends, of letting go of what needs to be let go of in order to be able to have that fresh, clean start moving into 2026. 2026 is a 1 year in numerology. This is the new beginning. This is setting the foundations for the next cycle. This is where we set the foundations for the next 9-year cycle we're about to start. And so it's so important in 2025 to really have that transformation and have that release, let go, let your identity shift so that you're not carrying that baggage with you into 2026. And so you could ask yourself, think back over this 9-year cycle, think back all the way to 2016. What happened in 2016? And specifically, what shifted? What came to an end in 2016? Because this was the last 9-year. This was the last year that was the end of the cycle. And so we are at that same similar point now in 2025, where we are again at a 9-year and something is ready to shift, something is ready to end. And so continuing with that, you can ask yourself then, what started in 2017? You know, what was new? What was fresh? What was the new identity? What was the new direction? What was the new foundation that you were building back in 2017? And now that cycle has come full cycle, and all the lessons, all the learning, everything from the last 9 years is ready to be integrated, be incorporated, and the things that need to be let go are ready to be let go. And we also have synchronicity with the Chinese astrology right now because 2025 was the year of the snake. And so this is the same energy as the 9-year in numerology. The snake is all about shedding its skin, shedding its old identity, and allowing itself to transform and be born new. And the snake has outgrown its old skin and now it needs to move on and to its next identity, into the next stage of life, into all of that growth and learning that is around the corner. And so the year of the snake can really be kind of slower. It's a year where we go inside and we need to integrate the lessons. We need to work on our shadows, release the fears, do whatever we need to do in order to shed that identity. So it may have felt like it kind of stalled out this year, or you didn't necessarily make the forward progress that you were hoping to make. And that's because the progress was really happening on the inside with the fears, the shifting the identity, really stepping into the next stage and the next person that you need to be to enter this next stage. And so 2026, we shift from year of the snake into the year of the horse. Think of horses galloping wild, running free, forward momentum. So this is again that 1-year energy that is really synchronistic with the horse energy. We're ready to break free of kind of this stagnation and this internal energy of the year of the snake and move forward quickly and really take on this new start that is going to be 2026. And I want to share my story and kind of weave it into what we're talking about in this video, because I have certainly been in a 9-year cycle over the last 9 years. And my story is that I, over the last, decade of my life, have slowly been transitioning my mindset from corporate civil engineer into self-employment. And now I work as an astrologer. So it's been quite the shift over the last 9 years. And so I really feel the energy of this cycle. And I feel like my story can now help illustrate the energy and the 9-year cycle that I'll be discussing in this video. And so when I think back to 2016 and I ask myself that question, like what shifted in 2016? What came to an end in 2016? Well, 2016 was the year that I got laid off from my first ever engineering job. And so that, of course, is an ending to that job, but I really think that that was also the ending of kind of my corporate mentality. I didn't quite know it yet then, but being laid off really planted the seed of entrepreneurship in my mind because I suddenly realized how unsecure my job was. I really realized like, oh, I'm not in control here and I could be laid off at any time. And it really planted the seed to have a fallback plan. And so back in 2016, I said to myself, like, I want to have a side hustle. I'm going to have a side hustle so that if I ever get laid off again, I'll at least have that to fall back on. And that really planted the seed of having my own business because before that point, I had never dreamt of having my own business. I didn't really want to have my own business. I was very comfortable just being an employee. And so that was the shift that happened for me in 2016. And so then we asked ourselves, what happened in 2017? What started in 2017 that kind of started this whole new cycle? And for me, in 2017, it was the year that I decided to apply for my dream job in engineering. And I knew that if that job didn't work out, then I knew that engineering was no longer a fit for me. I got that job. It started out okay, but pretty quickly I realized that, this was just not a fit for me. And if I have my dream job in a really great location, great employer, great work, and it still isn't working out, then I'm the problem and it's just not a fit for me. And so what's happened and what started in 2017, which was the last 1 year for me, is that was the year that I decided I need to switch my career. I need to figure out what to do next. I need to get my life together in order to transition out of this career. And so that was really what started this whole 9-year cycle for me. And that brings us to now, basically, and 2025 is the year. Prior to now, I was working as a life coach, and it was finally earlier this year that I said that I was going to stop resisting this call I had towards astrology. I had always loved astrology. I was always very interested and curious in astrology, and I had come to it, throughout the years. I would kind of be off and on with astrology, and I had my first really big breakthrough with astrology back in 2021 when I took a course and I really understood my north and my south nodes in my chart, and it just totally explained everything as to why my life had gone the direction that it had gone, why I had gone down this path of engineering, and I was now like so unhappy and so unfulfilled in that path. And it really helped illuminate like, this is why you walked the path that you did, and this is the direction that you need to go if you want to find more fulfillment. And so that was like the first time that I really had this huge breakthrough. Astrology just clicked. It really made so much sense. But I still resisted it because I was like, I'm an engineer. I can't be an astrologer. Like, I'm not woo-woo enough. I'm not spiritual enough. I'm not whatever to call myself an astrologer and work as an astrologer. And so I resisted it for a few more years. And finally this year I said, okay, I'm going to stop resisting it. I let go. In a way, I shed that old skin, and I was able to finally step into this new identity as, the more woo-woo, the more astrology focused person. And that is the shift that happened for me in 2025. And so thinking back to the 9 years are about endings, conclusions, tying up loose ends, shifting that identity. The snake needs to shed its skin. And that's exactly what I did this year. And so I can really feel that in that letting go, in that shedding of the identity, now I am ready to move into 2026, to move into that 1 year, to have that new solid foundation in this new direction that I am going. And so you can have this type of transformation too. And it is definitely not too late. I know we are already at the end of the year, and I wanted to sneak in this video because there is still time to allow this transformation to happen. And so one thing about the 9 year is because it's such an internal year, if you think about like that snake energy, we're really going inside and we're like transmuting all of our shadows. We're doing all this internal work so that we're ready to shed that old skin, shed that old identity. And that's the similar energy with the 9 year. It can really feel like you're almost making backwards progress. Like it feels like you're not moving forward. And if anything, you're kind of moving backwards. And that is the energy that is taking you back one more time to really learn the lesson that the year is trying to teach you, and to really take care of the unfinished business that is preventing you from moving forward. And so if it's kind of felt like you have been stagnant or even moving backwards a little bit, that is so that you have one last opportunity to review the lesson, integrate the lesson, learn the lesson that this time has been trying to teach you. And so if I tie this together with kind of my example, last year, my Why I Quit Engineering video, which is how a lot of people have found this channel and a lot of people have started following me through that video, really blew up and brought in a lot of coaching clients to my business. And so in this transition that I made into 2025, I realized that coaching was no longer working for me. Like it didn't feel as fulfilling as I had hoped. And I just had this sense that like that wasn't how I was meant to be doing things because I hadn't quite stepped into astrology yet. And so at the end of last year, I closed out all my coaching and I really was like, okay, I need to figure out what is next. Like I can tell that it's not quite coaching and I need to figure out what's next. And so it's like all this momentum that video brought into my business, I had to halt it. And it's kind of like this backwards movement, right? Like it was saying no to new clients. It was kind of shutting things down temporarily to go inward and figure out, how do I move forward? And so that's why this 9 year can really feel like it's like moving backwards. It's like, okay, my business, I'm purposely taking it in the wrong direction because I need to slow things down. I need to go inward and integrate and figure out like, what is the lesson I am meant to learn here? And so that could be why things haven't moved forward the way you had hoped. If they haven't moved forward the way you had hoped this year, it could be because it's giving you one more opportunity to learn that lesson and integrate it and make the shift. And so it's so important that you do your best to make this shift, to let go of what needs to be let go of, to let go of the old identity and do what needs to be done in order to shift and be ready for the next year. And this is the opportunity to really let go of the old baggage that you don't want to bring into this new cycle. And if it does come into the new cycle with you, it just means that it's going to slow down that momentum at the beginning of the next cycle. And so if you think about my example, like if I hadn't taken the time to slow down in my business and figure out like what needs to happen, what needs to shift, then I would have brought that baggage, and the baggage would have been, I would have continued working as a coach into next year, and I would have had to then figure that out into the start of the next cycle. And so when I say that you still have time this year, I truly believe that you do still have time, because for me personally, this shift, this transition, this letting go of 2025, of this 9-year cycle, it happens in an instant. It's really where I just needed to surrender and let go of all my resistance in pursuing this path with astrology and becoming an astrologer and saying like, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to figure out how to do this. And all of that happened in an instant. it was like that day I just said, I am going to stop resisting this. And I don't care if I'm not woo-woo enough or whatever, or if I'm uncomfortable stepping into this new identity. And I told myself, like, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure out how to make this work because I really like astrology. I really have a lot of fun with it. I really think it's the tool to help people transform their lives. And I want to work with this tool. And so all I had to do was stop resisting working with the tool. And that was the day that I signed up for some additional training and to really get that solid foundation. And that's all it took, is me stopping my resistance and just saying, okay, let's go. And that's what 9 years are all about. It's about being able to surrender and to trust and to just like let go of the old identity and the resistance you have to moving forward. And I mentioned how the North Node, South Node astrology placements were like my first big breakthrough. And interestingly enough, now with the work that I'm doing, being self-employed as an astrologer, I know that I am on my North Node path of purpose. My North Node is in Aquarius, the sign that is unconventional, that is out of the box. And working as an astrologer, I would say, is still pretty unconventional and out of the box. And my North Node is also in the 5th house. This is the house of fun, creativity, self-expression, but it can also be the house of, self-employment. And it's like, now I am self-employed as an astrologer. And that is just in such great alignment with my North Node path of purpose. And so in this letting go of this resistance, you can really get yourself on that path of purpose and fulfillment and meaning. And if that is the things that you are looking for in life, now is the time to release what needs to be released, surrender to the unknown, surrender and trust that in doing this thing that you're not sure about, you can start to move forward onto your path of your highest soul's expression. And so this video is just to encourage you that there is still time in 2025 to do this work, to integrate the lessons, to really reflect on what needs to be let go and, what is trying to come in. I knew I needed to let go of what I was doing with my career path, and I know I needed to let what was trying to come in, my calling, to come in. And what was calling was astrology. And so there's this combination of, surrendering to what is calling to you and letting go of what no longer works, what no longer feels aligned, what you have outgrown in your life. So if you, like me, can see that you have been in a 9-year cycle that started back in 2017 and is now ready to come to a conclusion in 2025, you're ready to move on to the next stage, to the next cycle, the next fresh start, whatever that looks like, you're ready for that momentum and forward movement that the horse is ushering in 2026, then now is the time to do the final release, cut the final cords, shed the final identities so that you can now move into this next year with the fresh energy and ready to start building that foundation for the next cycle. And if you are interested in understanding your South and North Node placements in your chart, I offer these readings on my website. You can check out the link in the description below. And so I hope that this video has been helpful and inspiring and has maybe lit a fire under your butt to do the last final work that you need to release in this 9-year cycle. And so if you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And if you're into this type of content, then consider subscribing for future videos like this. And with that, I will see you in the next video very soon.